Okay, so how do you get started with these things? So I would recommend finding someone who already has a headset and work with that person and find out what the pros and cons and watch outs about the particular headset that they're using. If someone does have it, I would probably plan on sitting down for the first time. For most seniors, pretty much for anybody for that matter, but I think seniors especially, you probably want to be sitting just to get a feel for what things look like once you put that headset on. There's lots of tutorials and demos on these things where you can get a good idea about how they work, what the different buttons do and things. You don't have to kind of guess where things are. So those demos are very helpful as far as helping you, figure out what you need to push and how you look around and how you move from left to right, that sort of thing. So each one might be a little bit different, but it's pretty intuitive once you get into it. Now, one thing that does take a while is to figure out what kind of VR experience works for you or doesn't work for you. Some things might be a little overwhelming or disoriented or cause severe motion sickness, right as soon as you put it on. So just to maybe just mention that some people just won't be able to use a VR system. But once you put in something that's stable, don't start with a roller coaster, don't start with space flying or anything like that. Try to start with something where you're in a room, you're just standing there, maybe in a virtual room that's more of a cartoon type situation. Those are great things to start. So you're not a lot of movement, you're not being rocked around, and it's easy to kind of get your bearings and figure out how to use these things without getting overwhelmed or getting motion sickness. Now, one thing that's nice is a lot of these activities you can always sit. You don't have to stand if you don't want to, and that's something I found is useful because a lot of games I play, I found, hey, I can sit. I don't have to stand all the time. Sometimes standing gets, depending on how long you play, you can get too hot, you can get disoriented, you get, whatever the case may be. But if you need to sit down, that's something that is a good idea to start with that. I found too, if you have air movement on you, that helps because you've got this thing on your face. If you have air movement, it helps cool you down. That can be a problem, and I think that does contribute to motion sickness. So that's something to think about. So when you put these on, or get ready to put on a headset, the first thing I generally do is going to be put on my controllers, okay? And first thing I do is figure out which one's left and which one's right. So that's right, this one's left. And I go ahead and put them on my wrist, and I'll tighten them down. They don't have to be like super tight. You just want them to be reasonably tight, okay, like that. And then I'm going to take my glasses off because it's easier to demonstrate. But what I usually do would be so if the head strap can come down or up, usually it can go either way, but if you carefully push it up a little bit, you might have to expand your back piece here. But I generally put it up on my eyes first, okay, and then I bring it down and tighten it up, all right? Now from here, I can see the room right now, but the way this is set up, it's not super clear. I can't, for example, my teleprompter, I can't read that, but I see everything in the room. It's in black and white. I've got something right here, so I can grab that pretty much without a problem. Here's my teleprompter controller, and here's my glasses. So the reason I'm saying that is that you can still see things. They're blurry and a little odd looking, but you can see through these as soon as you put them on. At that point, you're going to be presented with some menus. So the first thing on mine is it starts about the boundary. So there's a boundary, actually I usually play out on the other side of where I'm speaking from, but there's a predefined boundary that I used a while back. It's still there. If I change rooms, it's magical and can pick up the boundaries in the other room. So I haven't figured out how it knows that, but it does. So that's basically how you put the thing on. If you need to change the volumes, I can feel around. So here's my volume control down here. If I need to turn it on or off, if I'd like to reset it, I can feel around. I feel my button there, okay? So each headset might be a little different, but that's kind of how that works. Okay, and to take it off, I generally kind of reverse the process. So I'll loosen that head strap and then take it off like that. So I don't take it off like that. And I can't exactly say why I don't, but when I wear glasses, that just doesn't work. So by wearing glasses, I can, if the glasses fit and the frames fit in the frame here, which these do not, that's the way I would put that on anyway. So I just make it a habit of putting the headset on and taking it off the same way. So in general, the strap should be above your ears, okay? If you have glasses or hearing aids. I've got both, so you might need to be careful with that, like how you put that on and where they're touching. You wouldn't want those like to be squishing your hearing aids, or if you have a cochlear implant, that might be something to consider as well. So if you have any medical conditions or anything going on, that injuries or whatever, you just may have to consider that as well. So these generally, what's kind of cool is as soon as you pick them up and put them on, they'll turn on. I think I've mentioned that before. It'll then start searching for your controllers, and so those will light up in your vision here within your headset. So that's all pretty automatic, and there'll be menus that come up at that point. So let's go back to some of my personal experiences that I've had since I've owned this unit. So using it as a standalone unit, that's the easiest way to use it overall. There's lots of content available. The Meta, who's the owner of this, it used to be Oculus Quest, but it's Meta Quest 2 is what this one is. There's lots of material out there, and with their software package you can get on, it's got an application to go to, and that's got plenty of things you can download. You can download things through the headset itself. So whether it's Wi-Fi or through the tether, there's lots of content available. So I'm surprised at how much actually shows up just with the Wi-Fi part. So that's good. From a visual perspective, I think the graphics within this unit are really good. If you have some more games that are more PC or GPU or CPU intensive, those will work better if you run them on the PC. Steam's a good example, which is that application that has all these games that you can buy, and actually Steam works pretty good. So if you're playing a game like Half-Life Alyx, for example, it's a very robust game, a lot of content, a lot of incredible visuals. You're definitely in a different world in that game, but that definitely is something that you really need to be tethered to get the most benefit out of it. So to buy these games and these experiences, if they're not free, then I always read a lot of reviews and look for sales. So one thing you can do on some of these sites, if you're looking at buying, whether it's with the Meta site or with Steam or with any of these other sites, is you can put things on a wish list and just wait for them to go on sale. So that's a great way to save on money, because some of these games and these activities are not very good at all. So you can spend a lot of money and be very disappointed in how much you're spending versus how much enjoyment you get out of it. So I've learned that from experience. Like I said, not everything's going to be excellent, so just keep that in mind. So a lot of the streaming services offer VR content, and there's VR 360 and there's VR 180, so they're kind of different things. So 360 is the one where you can see 360 degrees around you, and 180 is going to be more something like you're sitting in a concert and you're watching the show from your seat or from wherever the camera is sitting. Then when you look around, you actually might see it is in 3D, but it's kind of like a back seats behind you and maybe a mezzanine or something, or sometimes it's just blank. So it just depends on what the provider is doing. So as I was saying before, there's lots of things to experience and places to go. You can sit down in a recliner and walk up Kilimanjaro in Africa. You can, take a drone flight over some forest, or go into the tropics, or, whatever you want to do. But so much of that's free, and it's just fun just to spend even, 15 minutes or a half hour it's like you get out and do something without having to leave the house, which is kind of nice if you're, if you kind of have some mobility issues and you just need to, because you really feel like you're out in the open. So it's very unique in that nature. So that's something that until you experience it, I can't really explain it that well. So there are aftermarket head straps and face cushions and things like that are probably worth the investment. It's probably worth just using what they give you to get started. But then you can also buy aftermarket. This is the aftermarket head strap here. I've been real happy with this. It's very comfortable. The original Quest 2 headset kind of looks something like this, the black part back here. A little bit different. It's got the strap on top too. This one has the battery pack. And that's one of the things when you're looking at buying these things is what's worth the money, what's maybe not worth the money. I'd say this battery pack, for me at least, was not worth the money. It puts a little extra weight on the back of your head, and it seemed like it was actually giving me a neck ache when I was using it. And I was a little worried that this headset was giving me the neck ache, but when I actually switched to this other head strap, I found it actually did make a difference when it was more comfortable, but there was just enough weight difference there where, I don't know what that weighs, but just enough weight difference where it was putting a little extra strain on my neck. So just keep that in mind, that maybe don't pay extra for some things unless you really think you need them. So I'd say the extra $150 that this cost me, because it was the headset, this battery thing, and then a case. The case isn't too bad if you're going to travel with this thing. It all goes inside there nice and neat. It's kind of wonky, but the case is okay. But again, I wouldn't have spent the $150 extra in a set. It was one of those bundled sets. It was through Sam's Club, and I thought it was a great deal, which it was. I guess it was worth it for what it was. And plus, it seemed to kind of affect the PC connectivity. You're supposed to be able to plug into that headset or to that head strap, and it connect to the Quest to do the PC connectivity, but for some reason it was giving me some issues, so I just kind of got rid of that totally. So I was mentioning before about glasses, so my glasses did work, the ones I had, but it was a progressive, so as I moved my head around in the 3D environment, it would sometimes get out of focus. So I went ahead and, just because it was nice just to be able to take my glasses off and put this headset on without worrying about glasses, that's why I went ahead and spent the money to get the lenses in here, as I showed before. So just to reiterate, these things the focus is at about 4 feet 3 inches. Again, if you want to get prescription lenses for this, which I did, that would be the distance you would have your eye doctor do the exam for, or add that extra step in the exam, make sure you get that. So as far as the lenses are concerned, there's several providers online. Let you kind of get online and see what works for you. There's some that work with a magnet, which is kind of cool. You have a frame in there, and then as you change out the glasses or change out the lenses, they pop off real easy because they're just magnetically attached. And so if you're playing with people that don't have glasses or don't need glasses, it might make it a little bit easier as well. Or if you have other people that have a different prescription, you could all share the headset and all bring your own little lenses to the party and change the lenses as you go through, which I guess could be a real thing.